to join in a great honor for our friends in Israel and solidarity with Israel, a great ally for this country and a great part of the fabric and community of the state of New York. I also would like to introduce today my new policy advisor who's joined the campaign, Cara. She is 15 years old. As a matter of full disclosure, she's also my daughter. You may think she's young for the job, but you should look at her resume. At 4 years old, she was a policy director to the HUD secretary. She then, at 12 years old, was senior advisor to the Attorney General, so I think she's ready for the job. I'm pleased and proud to have her with me. We're also, she has a great resume, and the pay was right. We also are putting out today a book, literally, on all the positions on the campaign that we are about to wage. The book and the positions are very important to me because what this campaign is going to be about is not just an election, but developing a consensus and a citizen coalition around a set of ideas on how to change this government and how to reform Albany. And developing that consensus and having people engaged is very important. And having all the positions and the clarity of the positions, I think, is an important first step. So the book will be available. Members of the press, the book will be available for a special one-time discount today at $10, and we can talk about that afterwards. Thanks very much for coming out.
Mr. Attorney General, can you talk a little bit about how you would solve our current budget deficit?
Well, I laid out yesterday, laid out in the video, a full set of parameters on what I think the state needs to do from a fiscal responsibility point of view. I said we need to freeze taxes. I don't believe increasing to raise taxes is an option. I said I think we should refrain from borrowing. To borrow money for operating expenses, I think, is a major mistake. And we're going to have to look at a way of reinventing the functions that we are now delivering, reinventing the model. It can't just be about cutting the model or increasing the model. The model itself is going to have to change. And that's the restructuring, reinvention of the programmatic approach. Those parameters are more for next year's budget. I think they're also applicable to this year's budget. Obviously, this year's budget has been under discussion for a matter of months and hopefully is near completion.
Mr. Attorney General, are you trying? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you trying to pull in Republican votes with fiscal conservatism?
No.
You don't want Republican votes.
I don't. That's not how we put the positions together. These are the positions that I think are the right positions and the responsible positions and the realistic positions. I want support for these positions from all New Yorkers, Dan. Yesterday I spoke about, and I'll be speaking all through this campaign, this is not about Democrats versus Republicans. This is about, in my opinion, the people of the state versus the special interests, and developing consensus among the people for a specific set of ideas. I did not run the Attorney General's office as a partisan affair. We developed policies, we developed legislation, we passed legislation, and we did it on the strength of the ideas, and we reached out and we worked with Democrats, Republicans, Independents as a method of doing business, as you know. And I would do the same thing as the governor of the state. I think a hyper-partisan effort to try to divide this state now by party lines is a mistake. It's the people coming together around a set of ideas and positions, a specific reform agenda, and then getting that enacted in the New York State Legislature by the people's representatives in the Assembly and the Senate.
Mr. Attorney General,
The members of the Assembly pick the Speaker. It's not my place to say who the Speaker of the Assembly should be, or the leader of the Senate should be, or the minority leader. That's not what I do. I respect the separation of powers. I respect the executive. I respect the legislature, and I'll leave it to the legislature to pick their leaders. I'm sorry? You know, I understand the difficulties now surrounding the budget. I also understand, as you understand, Josh, for the past several years, I've had a successful record passing legislation with Democrats and with Republicans. We passed some pieces of legislation that they've been trying to pass for decades and they couldn't pass. So we've had good success working with the Assembly and working with the Senate. To Dan's question, we didn't have partisan agendas. We came up with policies that we thought made sense for the people of the state. And then we developed support on both sides of the aisle. And we passed legislation working hand in hand with Sheldon Silver, with Joe Bruno, with Dean Scalos, and I look forward to doing the same thing.
How specifically will you avoid some of the pitfalls that have entrapped your predecessors in taking on Albany and reforming it? We've seen, a lot of governors come in and say they're going to reform the system only to get caught up and mired down. So how specifically will you approach this differently so you can be successful?
I think that's what we're talking about today. I want to use this period during the campaign to develop support among the people for a specific set of ideas and reforms. So that if I have the good fortune of getting elected, it's not just about electing a person, it's about developing support for an agenda. And the people will have spoken around that agenda. Also, at the same time, I want to be very clear with the people of the state. This is what I would do. These are my ideas. These are my policies. This is what I would do if I get elected. So it serves two purposes. Well, I think the number one priority for government is to get the economy running and get jobs being created. Getting our fiscal house in order, cleaning up Albany so that it is functioning once again, getting a budget passed, keeping taxes low, reducing the regulations, having a government that wakes up every morning understanding that the job of government is to facilitate job development and not frustrate job development. And then specifically, we have an economic development program, including a tax credit jobs initiative that I'm excited about called New York Works.
Sorry, answer this question over there. I'm not sure it was really answered. He asked, how are you going to break through the gridlock? Having people on your side is one thing, but having lawmakers is another. We saw Spencer try to do it, Patterson. How do you win over lawmakers to pass legislation that is not in their interest? Ethics reform, independent election councils. They don't want that stuff. How do you get them to do that?
Yeah, I think you do it the other way around. I think you go to the people first, and you get the people on your side. Not just on your side generically, but you get the people supporting a specific set of reforms. That's what this book is all about. This is a very specific set of reforms that I am saying, number one, if you elect me, this is what I will do. This is my platform, this is my agenda, this is what I will do. Number two, if we develop the support for these specific ideas, these specific agenda items, then we can say to the Democrats and the Republicans in January, the people of the state have spoken. They want this agenda passed. Politicians tend to follow what the people in their district want done. Otherwise, they're not politicians for long, because there's a certain natural selection to the process, right? Politicians represent the interests of their people. And to me, the question is, go to the people first and develop the support among the people. That's how I passed several pieces of legislation in Albany in the past 3 years. I did it the same way every time. I didn't go to the politicians first. I went to the people. And I said, here's the problem. This is what we're trying to do. I want your support. Here's the initiative. And we developed the support among the people, and then the politicians supported it. I spent 8 years in Washington with Bill Clinton, passing all sorts of pieces of legislation through the United States Congress, which is almost as difficult as the legislature in Albany. I did it the same way. I traveled all across the country. We educated the people of the country about what we were trying to do in Washington. And then you go to the Congress and ask the politicians to pass it.
Costello, do you